And so she was there in the house. Her servant came to her. She was now the wife of the king. Her servant came to her and said to her, "Oh, Hind, today we have been told about a group who have come, a group of prisoners." She said, "Where have they come from?" The reply came, "They have come from the land of Karbala." She said, "What do you want?" She said to her, "You have to get dressed. Yazid wants you to come into the courtroom because each one of their ladies has been brought in." When they had been brought in, she got dressed in her finest. She went and sat on her throne. Yazid was in the other court. She sat down. As she sat down, Sayyidah Zainab and Kulthum were in front of her. Sayyidah Zainab looked towards Kulthum. When she looked towards her, she said to her, Kulthum, do you recognize who that is? Remember, they had all grown up together, but now their faces have changed because of the pain of the 10th of Muharram. Kulthum, do you know who that lady is? Kulthum replied to Sayyidah Zainab. She said to her, "Oh Sayyidah Zainab, I do not know who that lady is." Sayyidah Zainab said to her, "Do you remember Hind, who used to be our servant in our house in Medina?" She said to her, "Yes." She said, "That is her. She is in front of us, Hind." At this moment, Hind was sitting down on her throne. She looked at Sayyidah Zainab. She said to Sayyidah Zainab, "Oh lady, where are you people from?" Sayyidah Zainab replied by saying, "We are from the people of Medina." This was her reply straight away. The reply came back from Hind. She came off her throne and she sat on the ground and she said, "Welcome to the people of Medina." Sayyidah Zainab looked at her and said to her, "Hind, why do you sit on the ground? Do you know anybody in Medina?" She said to her, "Yes, I used to work for a family in Medina when I was growing up." She said to her, "Which family?" She said, "I used to work for the house of Ali ibn Abi Talib in Medina. I had seen his children grow up one by one." Sayyidah Zainab looked at her and she said, "Who do you know of the children of Ali ibn Abi Talib?" Hind looked at her and said, "Are you able to tell me about them? I haven't been in touch with them for many years. I don't know what has happened to them." Sayyidah Zainab said to her, "Oh Hind, tell me, who do you want to know about?" Hind hadn't noticed Sayyidah Zainab had called her by her name. She said to her, "Oh Hind, tell me, who do you want to know about?" Listen to the reply. She said, "Tell me about Abu Fadl al-Abbas, the young man that I saw when he was growing up." Imagine, Abu Fadl was a young man when he was growing up. He was only in his 20s. She had seen him at that very young age. She looked at Sayyidah Zainab. She said to her, "Tell me about Abu Fadl al-Abbas. How is Abu Fadl doing?" Sayyidah Zainab pointed towards one of the spears. Why? Because Abu Fadl's body was not present in the court of Yazid. All that was present was the head of Abu Fadl al-Abbas. She pointed towards the head of Abu Fadl and she said, "Oh Hind, that is Abu Fadl al-Abbas over there in front of you." She then began to cry. She said, tell me, where is Aba Abdullah? I want to see Aba Abdullah. I haven't seen him for a long time." Sayyidah Zainab, this was her hardest moment, because Sayyidah Zainab knew that Abu Abdullah's face was not even recognizable. Why? His beard was covered by blood. There were marks of blood all around that holy face. She looked at Hind and she said, "Oh Hind, can you see that spear in front of you?" She said to her, "Yes." She said, "That is Abu Abdullah." Hind began to cry. She said, "Oh Sayyidah Zainab, tell me, where is Ali ibn al-Hussein Zainul Abidin?" She turned around and she said, "Oh Hind, do you see that ill man over there in front of you? That man who has the chains around him. That man who has a chain around his neck." She said to her, "Yes." She said, "That is Ali ibn al-Hussein." Hind still hadn't realized where Sayyidah Zainab and Kulthum was. She said, "Oh lady, can you tell me, where is Kulthum and where is Sayyidah Zainab? I was grown up in their house. I want to see both of them." Hind at this moment turned round. Sayyidah Zainab said to her, "Oh Hind, if you want to see Kulthum, there is Kulthum over there." Kulthum was on the ground. She then said to her, "Oh Hind, if you want to see Sayyidah Zainab, then here I am, Sayyidah Zainab, sitting in front of you in the court of Yazid." Hind began to call out, "Wa Husayna, Wa Sayyida, Wa Aliya." She began to call out one after another. Suddenly it's narrated she went in the court of Yazid. She left it, she went towards Yazid. She entered without her hijab. When she entered without her hijab, Yazid became angry. He started saying to her, how dare you enter this courtroom without your hijab? She said, you ask me to wear hijab, whereas the daughters of Fatima al-Zahra have nothing to cover them. You ask me about my decency, whereas the daughters of Fatima al-Zahra are being taken as captives from prison to prison. You ask me about my protection. Who is there to protect the sons of Ali ibn Abi Talib at this moment? Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. سيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the following dua. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. اللهم إنا نرغب إليك في دولة كريمة تعز بها الإسلام وأهله وتذل بها النفاق وأهله وتجعلنا فيها من الدعاة إلى طاعتك والقادة إلى سبيلك وترزقنا بها كرامة الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم ما عرفتنا من الحق فحملنا وما قصرنا عنه فبلغنا. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to honor the 10th of Muharram every year in our lives, and to allow us inshallah next year to be in Karbala next to Abi Abdullah al-Hussein. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to be amongst the soldiers of our 12th Imam, to allow us to debate all these issues of controversy which seek to block the message of Imam al-Hussein, to allow us to spread the word of Imam al-Hussein. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a Surah al-Fatiha, but before it the loudest salawat.